Welcome to Beyond the Coverage. I'm Garrett Horner. Today I want to cover stage 4 of Ruta del Sol and then just a little bit of stage 4 of Algarve. Now, today down in Spain, Ruta del Sol, 165 kilometers with 4 categorized climbs, but it's hilly throughout the final 50-60 kilometers of today's stage. When the cameras come on, I'm sitting on the couch. It's a little bit of a cluster trying to figure out what's going on. The GCN commentator, Jess Cox's description of what's happening in the break is leading me to believe that the break up there is just strong and fabulous. And then all of a sudden, when we show up to the break, we see Rubens Guerrero from Movistar sitting on the back group of 5 riders in front of him. So clearly they're not gelling well because Movistar doesn't want to do any work. Now this is really strange to me because for Movistar's Ruben Guerrero, who's already won one race this year in 2023, I think he should be up there just pulling 100% because he's got Enric Mas back there that's 5th on the general classification, and Tadej Pogačar's UAE Team Emirates are driving it on the front. But guess what? They got some help back there too because it's Bahrain Victorious on the front and they're driving like crazy. Now we go back up to this group of 6. They're up there and they got 5 guys that are pulling through hard. Sivakov's doing a great job. Rubens Guerrero, like I said, is sitting on. Mateo Sobrero, Jaco Alalula, he's pulling through hard. Jefferson Zapata, he's pulling through hard and he's riding for one of the smaller Spanish squads. Pascal Ankhorn from Lotto, he's pulling through. And then the last rider, Edvald Bosenhagen, he's doing big time pulls. But there's just not the chemistry when you got one rider sitting on. And then we go back to the peloton and Bahrain Victorious is on the front pulling like crazy. Now there was a group that must have gotten dropped somewhere, but like I said, it was total chaos for the first probably 10-20 minutes listening to the commentator Jess Cox trying to describe what was happening in the race when I turned the cameras on. Now the group of 5 that was stuck in the middle, they'll go back, and there's a Bahrain Victorious rider that was in that group, and they'll go back to the peloton. Back there we see UAE Team Emirates and Bahrain Victorious. They want to pull this group of 6 up front back because why not? Movistar's not interested in pulling up there. The other 5 guys, they're working well together, but we're going to get into some bigger mountains. And they're not pure climbers with the exception of Pavel Sivakov up there. Now with 30 kilometers to go, the road pulls off the main road, and that's when we start going up the climb. You'll see the little chicane there as the road narrows up and the road starts to go up. This is when the action's going to start, so if you want to watch Ruta del Sol, turn in with 30 kilometers to go. Up front in that group of 5 guys riding and 1 guy sitting on in the form of Movistar, this is when we see Sivakov start to go to work. He accelerates, drops everyone, but Jefferson Zapata, he does manage to bridge back up to Sivakov, but Sivakov will drop Jefferson soon before the summit of this climb. Once he's up there, he's solo driving as hard as he can. We go back to the field of GC favorites. UAE Team Emirates were on the front going into this climb, but Enric Mas with about 27 kilometers to go, he starts to light things up. Tadej Pogačar's on it. UAE Team Emirates, George Bennett's having a good day today, and it's a good thing that the Kiwi rider is because Rafael Micah had crashed earlier in the stage, so they're down their #1 lieutenant, but Tim Wellens, #1 or #2, depending on how you want to call him, he's still on good form, and he's there with George Bennett, and they're lighting it up on the front of the race back there with GC favorites, bringing the selection of GC favorites down to about 20 riders, maybe just a little bit less because the 2 boys from UAE Team Emirates are driving it with Tadej Pogačar sitting on his wheel. Now up front you see is Rubens Guerrero. He's going to get caught by the leaders behind with about 20 kilometers to go. And UAE Team Emirates, in between the climbs, they start drilling at 100%. I don't like the tactic, okay? I understand what they're doing. And they want to do exactly what I told you yesterday they should have done if they wanted to win the stage. Bring Tadej Pogačar into the last climb because it was a hard finish yesterday and it's a hard 1K finish on today's stage 4 too. So it's clear to see UAE Team Emirates with 15 kilometers to go. Tim Wellens drilling it so hard. And then with about 13 kilometers to go, when they start basically the last real climb here on stage 4, this is when we start seeing the attacks, and it's going to come in the form of Jack Haig from Bahrain Victorious. And this is what Bahrain Victorious was hoping to accomplish, is to send Jack Haig up the road, who's a little bit down on the general classification, and hopefully UAE Team Emirates Tadej Pogačar doesn't chase, but he does right away, closes the gap, and Pogačar throws in his next attack just with about 500 meters after Haig's. Now, this is where things get interesting because Tadej Pogačar has a little bit of a miss shift or drop chain, and Jack Haig gives Gives the UAE team Emirates competition there a little bit of a push so he can get his gears going back on and keep him back in the race. Nice guy, Jack Haig. If you go back to the 2010 Tour de France, when we're talking about Alberto Contador and Andy Schleck, when Schleck dropped his chain, I was there at that moment when Schleck was coming back, and Alberto Contador did not give Andy Schleck a push like Jack Haig did. Now, they're going to have some troubles because Pogačar is going to slip back to the group just a little bit when Jack Haig throws in his next attack, and Pogačar is playing possum back there. Haig gets a little bit of a gap, and he's got some company along with him. And then from the back of the group, Tadej Pogačar lights things up and using massive amount of energy, flies past the front of the group where Enric Mas latches on the Tadej Pogačar's wheel. They bridge up to Jack Haig's brake, and then Tadej Pogačar just keeps going. As he does, of course, there's only one rider left in front, and it's Sivakov from Ineos that's holding on for dear life. But Tadej Pogačar and Enric Mas, who's pulling with Tadej Pogačar, you know I don't like this tactic. Those two guys come flying past Sivakov, and Sivakov decides he's going to try to hold on. This is a bad plan because what can you do up there, Sivakov? Even if you do hold on, you're not going to win today's stage after being in the break all day. Better to ride easier to the summit, wait for your teammates because you got a stacked bunch of GC favorites back there riding for Ineos, your team, that you can help get on. Instead, Sivakov is going into the red trying to stay with Tadej Pogačar. And the group behind with Santiago Buitrago, he's pulling 100%. He's looking for some help over the right side of his shoulder, and he's looking dead in the eye there of Carlos Rodriguez, Team Ineos. Carlos Rodriguez doesn't want to pull. Carlos Rodriguez thinks Sivakov could go over the top with the front guys too. It's going to not take him too much longer to realize the mistake he made because Tadej Pogačar and Enric Mas are gaining time right now, and Sivakov's getting dropped. He'll get caught by the GC guys behind, being led there by Bahrain Victorious, and he'll go out the back as they go over the top. Now, going down the descent, Enric Mas, he's had some problems at last year's Tour de France ascending, but he's not having it today, and he's latched on more or less, maybe just the bike length and a half off of Tadej Pogačar through most of the turns. But the Spanish rider from Movistar is doing a great job through what looks like a very dangerous, technical, small roads all the way down into the lake finish here, where they got to go back up one more bump and then down a descent all the way into the town with about a 900-meter climb. With Enric Mas holding on, we're going to see Bahrain Victorious, the first guy to close the gap, Mate Mohoric, down the descent. He's going to close with about 3.5 kilometers to go. Only problem is, Mate Mohoric, this is like a delivery Mack truck that forgot to bring the trailer with all the cargo because you're not a GC contender, you're not a climber, so you can't win the stage. And all your GC guys you drop going down the descent when you should be pulling them up to Tadej Pogačar and Enric Mas, and instead the Bahrain Victorious rider's there, but there's nothing he can do because there's still a bump left after a hard right turn that's going to climb up just a few more, about a few hundred meters up to the top with about 2 kilometers to go before they drop down into the finish of today's stage to start the last climb. Now, when we go back to the group, chasing Tadej Pogačar and Enric Mas as they come into the descent with the right turn there with about 3.5 kilometers, call it about 3K to go. We'll see it's Carlos Rodriguez goes into that right turn, loses the bike and crashes. Now the Ineos rider, he has some form. We've seen him in earlier stages here at Ruta del Sol where he's had issues and then had to bridge back through the peloton. Right now, remember, it's Tadej Pogačar, Enric Mas throwing down at the front. Carlos Rodriguez jumps back on his bike, and we'll see in the pictures he's passing all the dropped riders. He won't get up to Tadej Pogačar, but guess who does? It's Bahrain Victorious, Mikel Landa. That bridges the gap along with Andreas Krohn, and those two riders close just before the summit, and then just at the summit with about 2 kilometers to go, Roda Intermarché closes the gap to make 5 guys at the front group with Tadej Pogačar and Enric Mas leading the way. They'll drop down the descent with about 900 meters to go. That's when the road goes uphill all the way to the finish because this is the Ruta del Sol and everything goes uphill, it seems like, to the finish of this race. Maybe not tomorrow's stage, but they all have up to today. And we see Enric Mas throwing a big attack with about 700-800 meters to go in today's stage finishing climb here on stage 4 of Ruta del Sol. Throws in a big acceleration. Looks like he's got a little bit of gap on Tadej Pogačar, but then Pogačar closes. Enric Mas does another tactical mistake right here. He's staying on the gas, not backing off when he's got the best #1 rider in the world locked onto his wheel. We'll finally see Enric Mas back off with about 400 or 500 meters to go. And you see the 2 riders in back that are hoping to close the gap. Mikel Landa and Roda back there for Intermarché. Krohn wasn't having such a good last 900 meters. He came off. Now, those two guys trying to close. Enric Mas tries to get back on the gas. And then somewhere right around 200, 250 meters to go, Tadej Pogačar looks like he's throwing an attack up the right side, but the fencing to the finish line starts, and Enric Mas moves just a little bit to the right. Tadej Pogačar, being the ace rider he is, backs off a little bit, throws in another attack with about 150 meters to go on the left side, gets a gap and runs it all the way to the line to win today's stage 4 for UAE Team Emirates. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 stage victories for UAE Team Emirates in 4 days of racing here at Ruta del Sol. Now, I didn't like the tactics from Tadej Pogačar. I think he should play everything a little bit safer. And I want to compare today a little bit, just a little bit, to what Flanders looked like last year, where he's being overly aggressive. And, of course, the Tour de France, where he was being massively too aggressive in stage 11 of last year's Tour de France. And races like today, where you see Tadej Pogačar being aggressive when he still had Tim Wellens, George Bennett back there, and he's still the one attacking that's dropping his teammates, when possibly his teammates could have just set tempo, brought him all the way into the last 900 meters of today's stage, and then he just lights it up from the bottom. That would have been the safe way to do it, to stay with your teammates instead of taking big-time risk on this technical descent, or just follow riders in front of you so you could see what speed works on these slippery, dangerous descents here in the south of Spain. Now, he won. He was amazing. It was a fun race to watch from the couch. But if it was me, I'd have done a little bit different. I want to win the general classification, not worry about stages when I've already won 3 stages with UAE Team Emirates plus high-end. That was just a couple days before it started. Now let's get back over to Portugal, because there was some good racing for the last 2.5 kilometers of the finish. And if you want to watch Portugal, the last 30 is worth watching, but the last 2.5 is where you really want to tune in, because the whole group of GC favorites hits the bottom. It's Jai Hindley from Bora Hansgrohe that throws an attack, but last year's Giro winner, he can't get the gap. This is the big difference between riding in the big mountains and having big-time Superdome stakes for you. If, let's say, Jai Hindley had Sergio Higuita maybe drill it at the bottom, maybe that wears everyone out. Jai Hindley throws an attack, but remember, Sergio Higuita won this stage last year, so he wants to race for himself too. So maybe Jai Hindley's making the race hard for Sergio Higuita later. I don't know. You'll have to answer that question yourself. But Jai Hindley's not getting the gap. Everyone brings him back. And then just under 2 kilometers ago, Tom Pidcock Ineos throws in a big attack. This one I'm kind of questioning. I don't know if it's the right move, because they have Filippo Ganna. And remember, he's a 2-time world time trial champion, and tomorrow's an individual time trial, and he is up on the general classification. But whatever I'm thinking from the Chesterfield, it isn't going to make a difference to Tom Pidcock, because he's throwing down 100%, and he is splitting the group up. It will get brought back, and then we'll see Tom Pidcock again with about 1.5 kilometers throw in a big attack. He's got one DSM rider with him in the form of Oscar Onleif, who's having a fabulous ride, only 20 years of age, but Tom Pidcock's pretty young too. And then, of course, Ian Van Wilder from Quickstep, who messed up that stage finish with the celebration. Now, these 3 riders got a gap, but they got a couple big-time Portuguese riders back there, because they got the 2013 Road World Champion Costa on the front, drilling as hard as he can. Intermarché rider, he's already won this year in 2023, and he's trying to bring back this group, because if he can bring them back, he's got a shot at winning today's stage and the general classification. They get that gap closed, really close to close, and then it's only about 500 meters to go. When we see from behind, guess who it is? It's the Portuguese rider from UAE Team Emirates. They got done winning the stage over in Spain. Now they want to try to win here in Portugal too. And we'll see with Almeida, with his big acceleration, he'll close the gap up to the 3 riders in front and basically fly right by everyone trying to win today's stage. But Tom Pidcock's got other plans. He accelerates, gets on the wheel. And then with about 150 meters to go, Tom Pidcock throws in his own acceleration, goes into the final left turn with about 25-50 meters to go, and accelerates all the way to line to win the stage and gain 1 second out on Almeida. Then Van Wilder behind to round out the podium. Sergio Higuita finished on the Quickstep rider's wheel for 4th on the stage. But guess what? When we looked a little bit further down the stage, we see there's Foss there from Jumbo-Visma. He is the current time trial world champion, and he's only lost about 20 seconds on today's stage. And he's got Filippo Ganna that finished with him on even time on today's stage. So top 10 on the general classification, maybe top 12. all have a shot of winning Algarve, because you got the current time trial world champion with Foss from Jumbo-Visma that's 31 seconds down on the general classification, and Filippo Ganna, who's only 30 seconds down on the general classification. You guys will have to leave your own comments whether if you think the tactics of Tom Pidcock going up this final climb, dropping Filippo Ganna, or if he should have stayed with him all the way to the finish. Now, I'll give you one other thing. The interview from Tom Pidcock at the finish, he said they needed to right some wrongs because yesterday they should have won with Filippo Ganna. Man, that is a crazy comment. I don't think anyone that watched yesterday's stage thinks that anyone other than Magnus Cort Nelson should have won yesterday's stage. But Tom Pidcock says he's fixing a couple mistakes that they've had on 2 other stages where they should have won, and he fixed it today with today's stage win. I just wonder if he fixed it or if he passed it today and it's going to blow out tomorrow, because as an individual time trial, Tom Pidcock has to go up against Joao Almeida, who's a time trial specialist. Maybe Tom Pidcock is too. I couldn't tell you. And when we go further back, now Filippo Ganna has to make up 30 seconds or at least 25 if he wants to beat his whole competition. Because remember, he doesn't have to beat Tom Pidcock. He just has to beat second place Quick-Step Ian Van Wilder if they want to make sure they defend the general classification lead. So with Tom Pidcock's comments, like I said, I didn't like it because Magnus Cort Nelson definitely deserved to win on yesterday's race. But you guys got to leave a comment whether or not if you think Tom Pidcock can round this out for Team Ineos and win Algarve, or if today's dropping of his time trial, 2-time world time trial champion Filippo Ganna on today's stage might cost him the general classification. He could get beat by Ian Van Wilder, or of course by anyone in the top 12 of the general classification. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, leave some comments, and I'll see you on the next edition real soon.